I think that, well, let me ask you because what is the single most thing that you think contributed to the downfall of sustainable, not just marriages, but sustainable marriages in the West? Is it the men? Is it the men, women, or is it society, or is it technology? What is the main source, and how do you think that we can regain that, and kind of get control of that to right the ship, so to speak, and make sustainable marriages a more popular and more desirable thing? What is the cause that it's not, and what can we do to fix that, you think?
Mm. Well, again, I think when you lose sight of the God that lives inside of you, and I'm not talking about some God in the sky, some Western construct, but we as African people are spiritual people, and we always have been, regardless of what we called our God. I think we have always been very spiritual people, and that's one of the things that I enjoy so much about being on the continent is that connection to spirituality and the connection to family, extended family. I think we lost our way. I think we
Mhm.
lost the sense of community and family, and more importantly, we are disconnected from the spirit that lives within us. We are disconnected from that. And how we've become disconnected, I think, is based upon greed, selfishness, our inability to really understand who we are and to connect to who we are. I mean, we've lost our way. We've taken on values that are not values of our own. We live in a society where now anything goes. Like if you political correctness, you do, if you're doing political correctness, you're going to jail. People calling you hate speech and all kinds of things if you stand up for what is politically correct. And so we've lost our way. I think money and status and attention and and being popular is what's more important than understanding who we are as a people, and connecting to the God that lives within us. And I think that's what it is. We're spiritually void. um I think the society is spiritually void. I think is there's a hollowness. It's like every time I return to the United States, I don't feel anything here. This place feels empty. It's like it lacks spirit, it lacks energy. And that's why I don't stay here long.
Mhm. Yeah. What do you think we can do to fix that?
I think it's an individual thing. I think you need to do the work on yourself. I think once you work on yourself, then you're vibrating at a level that you will draw to you like-minded people, and you will draw to you what it is that you desire to have in a companion. I don't think that collectively um, we can do anything until we work on ourselves.
Mhm.
And until we work on ourselves, it's still going to be the same. I mean, that's why I admire you know the work that brothers Rizzo does, and listening to him and some of the things that he talks about in terms of community. We're so busy trying to get validation from everybody else outside of ourselves, versus validating who we are and doing the work that's necessary to build the schools and the banks and the hospitals and the things that we need in our own community. It's like you keep looking outside of yourself for God versus looking within yourself. And until we do the work, I don't think anything's going to change. I mean, what's more important than Black love? What's more important than Black men loving Black women and Black women loving Black men? And I'm not saying people got their choices, but
Mm.
I love Black men. And I think Black love is a beautiful thing. And it's just that there's so much hate, and I just don't understand it. It was interesting. And this just goes to show you how confused and uncertain Black men are. I took an Uber the other day to the grocery store, and the guy came up and he was driving an Audi. It was a very nice car. I was like, oh wow, he's doing an Uber and Audi. I feel, because I had some water and some other stuff. Wasn't sure if I should put it in his car.
Mhm.
So I said to him, is it okay if I put it in your car? Excuse me. So he says, yes. And I said, okay. So he popped the trunk and then he paused mid-sentence. He said, do you want me? I said, to help me? He says, yeah. So even the fact that he had to pause to ask me, excuse me, was mind-boggling because he was uncertain as a man if he should get out of his car and help me put groceries and lift that heavy cases of water. And it was so sad to me because I was just like, wow, men don't really know
Because maybe
what they
the
should do.
last person he's been riding around a lot of people. Maybe the last person didn't want him touching his stuff. You never know his side of that story.
True, I wasn't criticizing him. It was more of a a sadness that came over me because he wasn't sure. Even men opening the door, can I get the door for you? Like, men never had to do that. They would just simply open the door.
All right,
You
but
know?
with independent women nowadays, it is not a given anymore. It is something that is you have to, like, I don't think men have a problem helping you with your water or opening doors or anything like that. The problem is who to do that with, because
Yes.
some
Yes.
may be take that offensive because they are a strong independent woman that don't need no man for nothing. And then there's others who are traditional women who still appreciate the common courtesy of the average or traditional
You
man.
know, like
So
I
men
didn't
have to actually pause and say, oh, what kind of woman do I have here? Is this the strong? Because I'm gonna tell you, you look strong and independent to me. Okay.
the
So the
sad thing
brother
about
would
it was
probably
it's
be like, oh,
not
you
about
know,
strong independent. It was just kindness. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Kindness. I didn't even look at it as a male or woman thing. It was just simply like kindness. No trust. I mean, I may look strong and independent, but to me, chivalry is not dead. I love a man that is chivalrous. I mean, you know, that's I think that is for me, that's a sign of his upbringing. That's a sign of how he's been raised.
no, that's a sign of society
Yeah.
changing him to be more cautious of that type of situation, because he at least he asked. That's a sign of his upbringing, is that he asked at all.
Yeah.
But the sign that he paused is due to society changing his traditional ways.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
and it was
saying?
interesting because just the opposite, it was a man sitting in the car while his wife was putting all the groceries in the trunk, and I said to myself, "Why the heck is he sitting in the car? She putting all the groceries in, and she lifting. Can you give me some water?" She lifting water and doing all this, but it's just crazy. I just think that we're just living in some interesting times, and I don't really know what my son's generation will hold for him. All
Right.
I can really do is just raise him the best way that I know how, and to teach him to be kind and loving towards people, and to teach him to not allow people to take, because I tell him all the time, you know, going to the places that we're going to are not girlfriend trips. Those are not, you're not spending your money like that. I had already told him what's up with that.
Hmm. Well, okay, I'm gonna close it out with what I think about this. Okay, first
Okay.
of all, I think that this society, um, religion is money. Okay, this is a capitalistic society, and our religion is the dollar bill. Okay, now in order for capitalism to work, the government, I believe, separated the families. And the reason they had to do that is because they had to increase the demand for consumerism, which means instead of having a one family in one house, you separate the families and you have the mother and the father in two different homes. So that doubles the inventory for homes, that doubles the inventory for practically all products. Okay. And capitalism is its strongest when families are not together.
Mhm.
Um, now I think that the government purpose was to to incentivize women to leave their husbands
Whew.
so that they can capitalize on capitalism, so to speak. And
You
they
really
make,
you think the government incentivizes women to leave their husbands?
yes, because what they do is they reward women for divorce, they reward women for child support, they reward women with social, economic, and educational um, things that will drive capitalism. So, in other words, I think society is the way it is because of the government and because of this capitalistic society that we're in. Now, as far as why how to fix this, I don't think that we can fix this. The only thing that can fix this is laws, okay? And laws is the only thing that is going to right this ship, because people are not going to do it on their own. Let me give you an example. If there was no fault divorce anymore, if there was no fault divorce, and and like in the Philippines, there is no such thing as divorce. You can't once you get married in the Philippines, you can't get a divorce.
Mhm.
Okay. So, that keeps couples married there. And the thing is this, if if the laws were changed to where women wouldn't get child support or things like that, or women wouldn't get or you can't easily get divorced, people will stay together longer. I think that women would not have so many kids out of wedlock. I think that the laws will the dictate the culture. This is why I think that we're in a crappy situation in the West, is because the laws that's made by the man promote capitalism over families. So everybody is just pawns moving in their game. Okay. We don't care about your families. We care about profit. We care about capitalism. So if the women are getting reward with things like social media, with OnlyFans, and attention, if they're getting rewarded for that financially, they're not going to stop there, and their incentive is always going to be to get the bag. So they're participating, they're doing what the government actually wants them to do. I think in places like India, and in some places in Africa where there's arranged marriages and things like that, I think that those places are really they really promote family over profit. Okay, they promote the family. This is why in India there's probably over 1 billion people, because they promote family. So it depends, and this is why the passport bros are going other places that are a little more traditional, because we realize that the women are incentivized to stay separate away from us. So it doesn't really benefit men much, if at all, to get married, because we know all a woman has to do is change her mind, get divorced, have kids, and split us from half our bucks. So why play a losing game where family is not promoted? Why not go to a country where family is promoted and choose a bride and marry her under those conditions? And it's
You
not
say
even, and let me say this, it's not even the women's fault here. It's not even the women's fault in the West. I don't blame the women. I'm not sure if other men are like that, but I don't blame women for capitalizing on capitalism, so to speak. They're playing their role as far as what the government want them to do. But women don't realize they are being used to be because women spend 70 cents to every dollar that's spent in America. America knows who their cash cow is, so to speak, and that's women. And that's why they try to put the money in women's hands the most, because women drive capitalism. It's something that big corporations would prefer. They prefer the women. This is why you see most of the commercials with women. and and whatever the woman wants, they'll advertise that. That's why everything is geared towards women, because women spend the most. So I
Okay,
say all that to say this.
let me interrupt you for a second. So
All
you're
right.
saying women decide, oh, we're gonna get married, and then tomorrow, and then a couple years, I'm just gonna divorce you. You make that statement, and as if women just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm gonna divorce that man, as if there are not situations or extenuating circumstances that go on within that marriage to bring about infidelity. There could be a whole host of things that bring about the divorce. Women divorce. You know, do
I'm
you
not.
think that women just want to arbitrarily get married and divorce? That's women
No,
have
no, I'm
always
not. I'm not saying
considered
they want to
getting married.
arbitrarily get married and then divorce. I'm not blaming women for nothing. All I'm saying is they are incentivized not to stay in that marriage. Okay. And oftentimes people are going to take advantage of their advantage. Okay. If they have an advantage in something, they're gonna cash in that chip. Okay.
So let me
If
give you an example.
if a life is the game of Monopoly, women have a lot of community chess cards that they can pull. Men don't have access to that. We have chance. We don't have the community chess where you can divorce and split half from his bucks, or pull a card of child support, or free education, or this, that, and the third, or society. We don't have a community chess to pull from. You know,
Have a community chest to pull from. You may not have, but the fact of the matter is that you have to always take into consideration that you have a choice in the matter when you choose your mate. And that's what I've been saying throughout this entire conversation with you, is that everything is about choice. And based on what your value system is and what you believe determines on how you choose. Yes, we do know that men are first and foremost visual creatures. We get that. But then what happens after the visual? Because looks fade. And so sometimes men innately know that they should not marry or date a particular woman, but because men like drama, they do. So they just go ahead and allow themselves to get involved in that situation. And then 10 years later, they're divorcing. For a number of reasons. I have a very good friend of mine. She was married to a Dallas Cowboy. She's married to a football player. They're going through a divorce right now. And they had been married, let's see, they had been married maybe 15, 20 years. Son is 18 in college now, maybe a little over 20 something years now. Well, this man decides, because, you've been married, you got a kid, sometimes, women get a little chunky here or there, and then she was trying to work it off. So this man decides, true story, that he's going to have an affair. Not only did he have an affair, but he brought a baby into the marriage. Then on top of that, he had an affair with a white woman. So this sister says to me the other day, she said, he made me feel like I was never enough. And I was just like, wow. And so when you talk about that when you talked about that statement earlier about women nurturing and showing respect, that's what we should bring to this table. And then you talked about also the sister Princella bringing about the statement about men sucking the life. Here's a situation where this man sucked the life out of this sister, to use that example. So it's not like we just wake up one morning and we say, oh, I'm going to divorce you. I'm going to take you for alimony. I'm going to take you for child support. There are things that go on within that marriage that causes it to be broken, that pushes women, Black women in particular, to a point that we feel like we have to get revenge sometimes.
Now, let me say this. I acknowledge that things happen in relationships, okay? But men cheating, that's time immemorial. That's probably going to be a
Doesn't make
thing.
it right.
But what I'm saying is the government already know the downfalls that can happen in relationships. That's already accounted for.
So what do you say?
Look,
Women just stay in it and deal with it and suck it up?
no, I'm just saying that that's going to be a constant no matter what, and they know this. Okay, look, there are a lot of nuances that can happen in a relationship. I'm not blaming the men or the women. I said that. I don't blame the women for nothing. I blame everything on the government. Everything. Our condition, in our marital status, in our you know, in our relationships, in our culture is carved by the government.
No,
How
you
we
can't blame
move,
everything on the
how we
government. You have to take
no, no, no,
responsibility for
no, no,
some of
no,
the
no,
things
no,
we
because I'm gonna tell you something. People
made.
are always going to take advantage of what they can get away with. This is human nature. The government knows this. People are always going to take advantage of what they can get away with. And in places like Africa, you can't get away with certain things. Okay, I don't know if you know about this story, but there's a woman in Dubai right now, a sister. Okay, she's in Dubai. She's been arrested.
Yeah, I heard something similar to that.
Yeah, she been arrested because she was popping off to people in Dubai. Well, the problem with that is you can't do that in Dubai.
Yeah,
Okay? That
and
and the thing is the culture is carved by the government. The government backs that type of law. You cannot be loud and ratchet in Dubai as a woman. And the women there and live there know this. That is a perfect example of what I'm talking about as far as culture carved by the government. Now in the United States, she can do that. She can pop off, okay, and be disrespectful to men and things like that. But that's only because the government allows for that type of behavior. What I don't think people realize is that we are living in a time where government is actually promoting the destruction of families. Now, Black families are always a microcosm of what is to come for the rest of the nation. They look at us because we were a minority. We still are a minority, but what I'm saying is we're amplified in a lot of different ways. The government look at us as um, I don't want to say guinea pigs, but we kind of guinea pigs for what is to come for the rest of the nation. But the government carves the culture. If the government changed laws, our cultures would change. I don't have no confidence that people are able to change their behaviors on their own. They have to be put in a system that carves the culture, just like they did in Dubai. They put that culture in the system. And for that reason, women don't pop off that way. Okay. Now you have one woman who came from one culture to another and thought she could do what she did at home. No, it don't work like that. Okay. I am not blaming men. I am not blaming women. I am simply saying that if we want things to change, the first thing we need to change is the laws in the country, and and the culture will change along with the laws. Okay, our mindset will change along with the laws. Our values will change along with
the
the
laws
law.
are changed. The laws are not going to be changed to benefit people of color, to benefit us. I mean, we're so focused on what the government should do versus being focused on what we need to do, one, individually, two, collectively, and then within our own communities. We have to do the work. That's the problem. We keep looking
There is
for
no incentive to do
outside.
there is no incentive to do that work, Kafila. That's why people are not going to do it. They're going to always choose a bag over the culture every day of the week, and it's getting
I,
worse.
I mean, I think it just depends on. Again, I'm going to go back to the type of circles you choose to associate with and the type of circles you turn to run in and what your value system is. It's all about your value system.
It's not about your value. Your value system is shaped by the culture.
So it does not.
This is why women have OnlyFans and doing OnlyFans stuff. This is why you have social
I don't
media.
know
There
50-year-old women doing OnlyFans. What
if
women is
but what I'm saying is if the culture did not allow that, the system did not allow this ratchetness, it would not exist. They will start looking for other things other than superficial stuff. But we
and
live
you
in a
may not choose
capitalistic
those
society that
ratchet type,
incentivizes women to do this stuff,
but you
and
may
men
not
for that
choose.
matter.
Yeah, but men are choosing those ratchet type of women. I mean, the fact of the matter is some men enjoy that. And that's why that stuff continues to exist.
That is true. And I'm not saying the men don't have a part to play in this. What I'm saying is if it's allowed, it's going to happen. It's all about the dollar bill. We worship, and our religion is money and capitalism. If we want a relationship that is based in something real and fundamental and more family orientated, we can't do it in a culture that incentivizes ratchetness and capitalism. So
Okay.
if you want a traditional husband, you may not find that traditional man in America. If you want a traditional woman, you may not find that woman in America. Why? Because even if you want that and you find yourself getting that, the laws and the culture is going to incentivize you to separate.
I
It's just is what it is. It's human nature, and people are always going to take advantage of their advantages and their
I
perks. They're
think,
going to pull that community chest card out when feel they need to do it.
well, if that's the case, then you would not have groups or individuals of people such as the Nation of Islam that support their women that are married, they have families, they're raising some of their kids, attend public schools. So again, it goes back to what goes on inside that home, and the woman being the foundation that sets those principles of what happens in that home. You can have children being raised, and if you to use your term, in a society that's off the chain, that are wholesome, that are respectful, that does exist. There are cultures and communities that exist. You simply have to find that community in those cultures. That's the
That
bottom.
and that's true. But the Nation of Islam, everybody's not in the Nation of Islam. Everybody don't want to be in the Nation of Islam. Why? Because they are benefiting more from being outside of the nation. They're benefiting more by being on OnlyFans, or even a customer on OnlyFans looking at these women.
That's a
They're being
particular generation. That's a group of generation. That's not everyone. That's not the 50 plus generation that's on OnlyFans. None of my friends are watching.
I'm not always talking about just the 50 plus people that are on OnlyFans. My point is
Are those
that
the type of women
capital
you're looking to marry? Are those the type of women are you looking to marry the 20 something year old? If you're looking to marry the 20 something year old, then that's what you're going to get, and you're not going to change her.
No, but even with the Nation of Islam, 50 and 60-year-olds are not trying to be in the nation too. I mean, that's look, you're talking about only a percentage of .001% that's in the Nation of Islam. Okay, there are a lot more people who are not in the Nation of Islam and don't want to be in the Nation of Islam because they're benefiting so much off of how things are right now. What I'm saying is the law is going to dictate the culture. The culture is not going to dictate the laws. Okay. And
Okay.
if people are to the and so in other words, I blame the government. I blame the laws that exist right now. I think it can only get better if laws are changed. If laws don't ever get changed. Now, one thing that did change is Roe versus Wade. And this is a sign that they're trying to change that culture because they recognize that a certain demographic wasn't reproducing children at a healthy rate to keep the majority. So they said, look, that type of the culture is going to be changed in law so that you're not able to do that. Well, and
So do
if
you
it's
think
working or not, who knows?
they're not going to change the culture to benefit us? That's not going to
They're
happen.
not going to change the culture to benefit us. They're going to change. They're only going to change laws that benefit them, or they to benefit capitalism.
Them
Period.
the
Point. And then
generation.
blank.
Yeah, that's it.
But my point is they hold the power to how the culture moves. So for like I say, for men, if you want more of a traditional woman, you may not be able to find it in America because a lot of the women are participating in the American culture, which is capitalism. They're not participating in the family culture, which is in other countries, and a lot of them don't even know what traditional families is, and the younger they are, the least they know about that because of how capitalism is really being rolled out and incentivized to keep people separate. So they haven't even seen an example of what a traditional family looks like
You
anymore.
also are making an assumption that a lot of men want that. Some men don't want that. I mean, it's some men, you go on some of these dating apps. That's not what they want. They just want to have a good time.
Well, right,
So
and that's true. And right now, the reason why I would say that is more of a effect than a cause. Okay, a lot of the men do want traditional families, but they can't find no traditional woman. So what's the next best thing? Smash and dash, pump dump. You know what I mean? So they the only other thing they can get out of that is intimacies, because they don't have much confidence that they're going to find a permanent wife from the pickings that they get. So that's an effect. That's not the cause. But what I'm saying is we need it, we need to change the laws. If we're not going to change the laws, and if, for those who do want a family, then we may have to go somewhere else.
I mean, the
Men
younger men,
and women.
that's what they want. That may be what they have to do.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why you have things like passport bros that sprung out, because a lot of men are saying, listen, these women are being incentivized for capitalism. They're being used as sort of tools, to be honest, because I'm gonna tell you, when they take a man for child support, the state gets $1 for every dollar collected, and they're incentivized to everyone is incentivized to pretty much uh take money from the man. I'm not saying that they shouldn't pay child support. I'm just saying it drives capitalism. They're trying to put
One thing
money in the hands of women so that women can afford to live away from a man. If it's not a man, then they'll just give them welfare, and they'll say,
I
listen,
will
we'll
say this.
help you pay, or we'll give you low housing so that you can afford to stay away from it. But if you have a man in that house, you're not going to get no help from us. Okay.
Well,
that the,
again, you're talking about a certain segment of the population. You're not talking about um highly educated women that have careers, or highly educated women that have families. That's a certain segment of the population. I'm not
highly
saying educated
highly
women.
educated women are also incentivized to stay separate from their men, because I'm gonna tell you, the more education you have, the less you want to get married, and they know this. Okay, they
Well, the
know
fact
this. This is
that
why they're trying to
see again, you keep see, and I think that's the struggle with this conversation. Not every woman wants to be married, and not every woman wants to have a child. There is a segment of women that want that traditional role, and there are other women that just simply do not want that. And I think
I know that, Kafila, but what I'm saying is they're incentivized not to want that, to want that, because first of all, especially in our demographic, they don't want us repopulating like that. Okay, so they give a lot of our women easier access to education. It's studies that show that the more education women have, and this is not even just black women, it's white women too. The more education women have, the least they want a family. That means a husband or children. And this is why they had to reverse Roe versus Wade, because so many of their women were so high and mighty with their education, they wasn't trying to have no more kids, and it affected their reproductive. It affected their population. So they had to reverse that whole thing. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know the nuances to relationships. They know what drives women. They know what controls populations. Okay, they're going to put certain clinics, I'll say, in our community, but they don't want their women going there. Okay, they just want our women going there. And per capita, our women go there the most. It just is what it is. But that being said, I'm not saying every woman wants a family, but when you live in a culture that promotes women in that way, then they automatically know the effect of higher education. Yeah, some women don't want marriage, but they know that and they like that. But they want that for our women. They don't want that for their women. Okay? They still made it so that we can still go to some of these places and do what we got to do to our kids, but they don't want their women doing that. Okay, so that's what I mean by I blame everything on the government. I don't blame nothing on the men or the women. We are all pawns in this game of chance or game of life or monopoly. And the men don't have a community chest to pull from, but women do. They pull their community cards out and they get services and benefits that men don't get. And I mean, even the fact of choosing to wear, like at conception, the men loses all their rights. We don't have no community chest to pull from. Women, they still have rights. They can choose to have the kid. They can choose not to have the kid. They could choose to go for child support. They could choose welfare to help them take care of the kids. They have a community chest to pull from. Men only get chance. Go to jail. Go to jail. Don't collect $200. Don't do none of that. Just go to jail. Go directly there. So, and that's even weird because debt should not be something that you can go to jail for. It shouldn't. It's not. The whole country is in debt. So the fact that only men can go to jail for debt, that's not even constitutional. I think they're even trying to reverse child support and claim that it's unconstitutional. I think they did because Supreme Court in Minnesota said that it's just not it's not constitutional. So, but I say all that to say that unfortunately, until laws are changed, things are going to get worse in the West, not just America, but Europe and other places like that. It's only going to get worse. And the only way to change it is to change laws. And that would mean putting family above profit. And I don't have no confidence that America is ever going to put a family above their profit because it's all about greed in this country, and companies, high corporations are at the top of that list as far as turning profit. Okay, they run this country. They run this country. The billionaires, the oligarchs, and the big corporations, they run this country, and they hire lobbyists to put in laws what will make their company more profit, and and separating everybody is the most profitable thing they can do. Now, once they start to build out this AI, which is coming, they're going to have another problem on their hands. They're going to have to do something about that. Maybe, universal basic income, which will, help people survive and help keep the companies profitable. But they're even trying to get rid of people from working. And they're able to do that because the country is going to allow stuff like that. Everything is driven by profit. Everything.
Yeah.
And relationships suffer, and it suffers at a magnified amount in the Black community because we have the least privileges in this society. We have the least privileges, and I do think that Black women and Black men, we have the least privileges, but women at least have female privilege. Okay, so they ride that female privilege out. Black men have zero privileges. Okay, zero privileges. So it is a taller ask for us to get a lot of things accomplished. But this is why passport bros came to be a thing, because we're looking for a traditional wife somewhere where we can win, because we can't win in popular opinion in society. We can't win with our women. We can't win in business a lot of times. We can't win with the laws. Okay, we're punished 3 to 4 times more than other communities, and with longer sentences. We can't win in this community. So we're very frustrated. So we're trying to go someplace where we can win.
I mean, but sometimes you guys don't have your shit together, and that's and keeping it 100.
And we're not. Yeah, we don't have it together, and nobody cares if we do or not. I mean, even from the time that we are young boys in school, you think they really care about what black boys are learning? No, they don't care. A lot of the industrial jobs were taken away from us and shipped overseas, so we can't even work with our hands as much as we used to. So you think anybody care about us winning? No, they don't care about us winning. And I'm gonna be real. A lot of times, our parents, mother and father, don't
But
even know how to guide the boys, but
well,
they stick in the girls' mind. Go to college. Don't worry about no man. This is what you do. They give that path to the girls, so the girls grow up to be like, oh, f these guys. I'm going to school. I'm doing this, that, and the third. And the boys are wandering around lost because nobody even bothers to guide them in any kind of direction. And a lot of our roads are dead ends. Okay, a lot of
uh,
our roads are dead ends.
there's like there I mean, again, it's the circles. I mean, but also, you're talking about the government, but it's also a responsibility for us to hold accountable, our athletes, our movie stars, these millionaires and billionaires. I mean, we can, there are enough of us that are millionaires that we can have our own schools and hospitals and things like, but we don't hold them accountable. We put them up on the pedestal as celebrities and these great people, but where's the accountability to them as well? And we don't do that either. So it's not, I don't think it's all about looking at the government solely, as it is looking at the people that are in our communities, or the people that are the celebrities and the athletes. I mean, we have so many. It's like the NFL is like another plantation. There's so many brothers making some ridiculous amount of money, but where's the accountability to any of that? There is none.
Well, and that's true. Our millionaires and billionaires could be doing more, but we come from a culture of get it how you get it, and we don't. We haven't. We're new money. We're not old money. We don't.
I saw
We're
LeBron
still
James
trying to.
opening a house. I saw LeBron James open or had built a housing project for low income people. I mean, I think Queen Latifah was doing something in New Jersey in terms of a low income housing as well. I mean, it's like I think it's your level of consciousness and your commitment to wanting to bring about change. I'm not saying that the other celebrities are not conscious, but these are just the people that we know about that make the headlines. I mean, I just saw LeBron James opening some type of housing, affordable housing for poor folks.
Yeah. So, with that example, you can say that we are doing something, but those are on a micro scale because listen, at the end of the day, everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to live their life, and a lot of we don't have enough millionaires and billionaires in our community to really reach down and try and build up our entire community. As a matter of fact,
I don't
I
know,
would
because
say that.
just what the Washington Redskins. What are you talking about? I
Well,
don't know.
I know Magic. Shout out to Magic Johnson. He just bought
Yeah,
the Washington Commanders.
Commanders, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and I agree that there are some examples to do that, but in order to do that, he had to spend some money. He can't always build the schools and things like that. What I'm saying is, uh, I everything that millionaires and billionaires do is appreciated, but the things that the government do is should be expected. And a lot of times I think a lot of people let the government off the hook because they look at it like, oh, well, we as a people should be doing this ourselves.
it's
No,
always going to be a
policy should be in
speculation. It's always going to
policy
be type of under.
policy should be in place to where it makes it sustainable and easy. Like I'm gonna tell you, when a lot of Europeans came here, they were given land. Okay, they were given the land that was really owed to the black people, the 40 acres and the mule. Instead, they gave it to their white counterparts, and they profited off of that land.
You
Okay,
think
and
the
they
government is going to give us reparations? You'll be waiting, because that is an admit. That's admitting the evils that they've done to our ancestors. They will never give us reparations. That's not going to happen, and we
well,
need
I
to.
think it's going to happen, but I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen actually sooner rather than later, and it may even come in a UBI or a universal basic income to the point where they say, look, you guys will receive this level amount of money in the UBI because AI is coming, and we already know the atrocities that happen to your people, and we admit it. Look, they don't have no problem admitting they did wrong by the Native Americans. They gave them a form of reparations. They don't have no problem admitting they did wrong to the Jewish community, the Japanese community.
The
They
Italians,
gave them all reparations, okay? And there is no way to deny slavery, okay? Black people built this country literally with their hands. So there's no, I mean, look, everybody around the world know that slavery happened. So it ain't no, I don't care about your denial. Everybody knows that that happened. So they're just going to have to, come clean and give reparations, and the sooner the better, because in my opinion, the longer they wait, the higher the price is going to go up, especially if African Americans somehow get control in the government. Then the price is going to go skyrocketed. So they better do it before we get in there and do it, because if we do it, we're going to be looking to get everything that's owed to us, including the psychological damage that was done, not just the lost labor costs
that's not
that they're trying to get regained.
that was going to happen under Obama. What people don't understand, Obama was selected, and they had an agenda for him. It's not going to happen. And even if he thought it would have never happened. It's just not. It's just, I mean,
Yeah, because you got to go through different parties and different executive branches to get
it's
this and
just
enforce this.
of the Congress. It's just pure racism. The fact that they were referring to them as monkeys and calling Michelle a man and all this other ridiculous stuff. It's just not. It was not a reality, and I don't think it's going to be a reality in my lifetime anyway.
Well, the one of the biggest reasons why is that there is because there is pushback from other communities. The white community in particular. There are no pretty Mexican. There is practically no community who supports reparations for Black people for whatever reason. I mean, it's funny that we're owed reparations more than any other group, but people think we deserve it the least amount than any other group. It is absolutely absurd and ridiculous, but that goes to the level of hate, and it's been established in this country that Black people are the permanent bottom feeders, and I think a large part of society wants Black people to stay in their place. Look, we're comfortable with y'all being on the bottom all the time. Okay, that is your placement holder, and last thing we want you to do is to catch up with us socially, economically, politically. We really don't want y'all catching up to us in any kind of way. It's almost like giving us a heavy weight to carry a race in. Y'all stay in last place. We don't want you to drop that weight, because we know y'all fast and y'all gonna catch up to us. Y'all that spectacular. So you need to hold this weight in this race, because the last thing we need is y'all catching up to us. That's the mentality of a lot of people, but that is promoted by the government. Again, I blame the government on everything. And I know you say, oh, we should take ownership as people. And I say the only way we can really do that is if it is supported by the system. Okay. The system dictates. It was that way in Egypt. It's that way in every nation that you look. The system dictates the culture of the people.
But you do recognize when you say that you want the government to take some ownership and put in place laws and policies, that there will always be hidden agendas to that. I mean, look at the civil rights laws. It was a hidden agenda. Now everybody got civil rights. It was initially based on the premise of racism and inequality as it related to African Americans. Now that law or those rights have been twisted, and everybody can say, oh, my civil rights have been violated. So, anything that the government puts in place is not going to be beneficial to the people. It's just not.
That's not true. What they put into the place is going to be beneficial to the people. Okay. They put in place welfare. That was beneficial to the people.
But welfare was not something that was initially for African American or people of color. It was because of
doesn't matter, but African American people benefited from it though.
How do you benefit from welfare?
You benefit from welfare because look, there are two different types of poverty. There is American poverty and then there's African poverty. Okay, those things are not equal. Okay, okay. When you're talking about poverty in Africa, you're talking about a mud hut and no clean water. When you're talking
Well,
about
that's
poverty in
perspective.
America, you at
That's
least can pay some of your bills. You get lower housing. You get food stamps or whatever kind of welfare card they call it,
well,
and
food.
you're able to buy food. You can't do that in other countries. Other
No,
companies are
people
poverty in America is equal to their middle class in other countries. It just is what it is.
live off the land in other countries, and then it's I don't agree with that, but okay, we can agree to disagree. But you
Why
know,
don't you agree with that?
that's not. I mean, that's perspective.
That's a
I mean,
pretty much a fact. Okay,
so,
if you
so
get food stamps to buy food, that's a lot more than what some other people in other countries get. A lot of them they don't get social services like we do in America.
a socialist country. Okay, I mean, I get what you're saying in that regard, but I mean, most other countries, people live off the land. When you say specifically, when you're talking about the continent of Africa, they're living off the land.
They
So they,
living off the land, but they still in extreme poverty. Those African poverty and American poverty are not equal at
I mean,
all.
I'm like perplexed because that's what they want us to believe, that the Africans are living in extreme poverty. Africa is a continent rich in resources. The problem is the leaders that are running those different countries. It's not extreme poverty in Africa. How could you say that?
There's not extreme poverty in Africa.
Extreme poverty?
They
Extreme.
don't have clean water,
Oh,
Kafila. Some of
why-
them don't have. I'm not saying this about all of Africa. So all our Africans, I love y'all. Don't get in your feelings, okay? I'm saying that they don't have basic needs. Okay, at least in America, our poverty or people of low income have basic needs. They have a roof over their head, and they have clean water, and they get money for food. That is
Okay.
a whole lot more than what they got in some other parts, rural parts of Africa.
Okay.
I'm not even sure why you kind of disagreeing with that, but that's pretty much a reality.
Because you said extreme poverty and you said Africa, as if the entire continent of Africa is in
I'm
extreme.
not, and that's why I cleared it up. I'm not talking about the entire part of Africa. I'm saying in rural areas or in areas where there is extreme poverty. I mean, let's not, and I'm not saying poverty only exists in Africa. There, poverty exists in other countries too, in India, and still in China, in other places of the world. I'm simply saying their extreme poverty and America's extreme poverty are not equal. That's what I'm saying.
I would agree to that. I would agree to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, this is not a shot at Africa. I love Africa. Been to Africa. I'm gonna go back. But I'm just making a point that extreme poverty and American poverty are not the same thing.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go back to the point to say that I still blame everything on the government. I think that all things, especially family orientated, can be changed with laws. I think the culture can be changed with laws, but I don't think it's going to happen because the country number one priority is money, and our religion is money and capitalism, and that is and unfortunately we have to maintain that. Otherwise we will not be the financial powerhouse that we is in the world. So it's always going to be geared towards making a dollar over the next country so that we can maintain our financial dominance and keep the dollar strong. And therefore the culture is going to continue to suffer, the families are going to continue to suffer, and this is not a place to build a family. This is a place to build a business and then take your family to another country to build a family. So I'll say that. You have any other last words?
Oh, I think that's an interesting statement, and we're gonna leave it at that.
Okay. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for joining me, Kafila. This was pretty dope. Thanks again for coming on. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. Put it in the comments. What do y'all think about what I said? The good Dr. Khafilah said. Put it in the comments. I would appreciate that. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.